Mics are on.
Yesterday I only had 4. Yeah.
It having reached the hour of 5:30, I am calling the June 13th, 2023 Modesto City Council meeting to order and ask the city clerk to call the roll.
Vice Mayor Ricky.
Present.
Councilmember Bavaro.
Present.
Councilmember Williams.
Present.
Councilmember Wright.
Here.
Councilmember Scutia-Brayton.
Here.
Councilmember Alvarez.
Here.
And Mayor Zwalin.
Thank you. Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation from Dallas Jackson of Renew Church. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Join me in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this time, for the council to meet, Lord. And do pray for wisdom for each and every one who's making decisions. We just thank you for that gift of wisdom, Lord. Pray for everybody who is in attendance and just pray for them and their families, Lord. Thank you for this great city that we all get to serve. And Lord, as we look to you, will you strengthen those who are sick and are not doing well. But again, we just pray for this council meeting. Give everyone ears to hear and hearts to pay attention. And we know that you will bless it. So I pray all these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. Does the city clerk have any announcements?
Yes, Mayor. Just a reminder, public comment is 3 minutes, and we have blue speaker cards at the entrance of the chambers.
Do any of the council members have any conflicts of interest? Seeing none, will the city attorney report out on closed session, please?
Mayor, the council met in closed session today to discuss labor negotiations and existing litigation. No reportable action was taken.
All right, thank you. Item 1 is proclamation declaring June 19th, 2023 as Juneteenth Day, and I will read the proclamation. Abraham Lincoln's executive order to free all slaves became law on January 1st, 1863. Slavery in Texas did not end until more than 2 years later, on June 19, 1865. On this date, troops commanded by General Gordon Granger of the United States Army landed in Galveston, Texas, with the express purpose of freeing the slaves and enforcing Lincoln's order. The anniversary of this day of emancipation is celebrated each year as Juneteenth. This we gratefully do in commemoration of the historic moment in our nation's history in which the shackles of slavery were finally and forever cast off, the day the Emancipation Proclamation was fully manifest throughout the land. Juneteenth is an occasion to reflect on the unimaginable struggles of those who lived under slavery and to commemorate the sacrifices of those who fought to end it. Let us also take this opportunity to celebrate the heritage of our state's African American population and their fantastic contributions to California's vitality and diversity. Today, we join with all free men and women in the Golden State and beyond to memorialize Juneteenth as the day when the promise of the pursuit of happiness and the heritage of liberty became the lawful inheritance of all Americans. Now, therefore, I, Sue Zwalin, Mayor, do hereby proclaim June 19th, 2023 as Juneteenth in the City of Modesto and encourage residents to join the King Kennedy Memorial Board of Directors in the annual Juneteenth celebration. And that is dated this day, the 13th day of June, 2023. At this time, we have accepting the proclamation Deborah Jones Sullivan, President of the King Kennedy Board of Directors. Would you like to step forward, please, and make a few remarks? Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council people. Thank you for this wonderful award that you're giving us. We are so excited about y'all enjoying and knowing the history of our struggle in the past, and we're just grateful for that they're having the King County Board of Directors here. Can I have them stand?
Sure. Welcome.
As you know, we've been doing the Juneteenth celebration for the last 50 years, and myself been involved for the last 16 years. So once again, I want to thank you for this.
All right. Thank you so much for being here this evening, and I will now bring the proclamation down to present it. Beautiful smile.
Thank you.
Yes, we are.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, next on the agenda is item 2, consider appointing Evan Yoshino to the Board of Building Appeals with the term expiration of January 1st, 2027. Does council have any questions of staff? I'll open this up to the public. Any members of the public that could come forward regarding item 2? Now is that time. I'll close public comments. I do not see anyone confirming online, no one online. So I will close public comments. Council comments? Anyone? I'll call for a motion, a resolution appointing Evan Yoshino to the Board of Building Appeals with the term expiration date of January 1st, 2027.
Motion. Second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Williams, a second by Councilmember Wright. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Vice Mayor Ricky.
Aye.
Councilmember Bavaro.
Aye.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Wright.
Aye.
Councilmember Gutierrez-Brayton.
Aye.
Councilmember Alvarez.
Aye.
And Mayor Zwallen.
Aye, so it carries unanimously. Item 3, consider accepting the resignation of Monica Valencia from the City of Modesto Culture Commission. Any questions from council for staff?
Do we have a reason why the resignation occurred?
We will have Lori step up to be able to answer that.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Lori Smith, Director of Parks, Recreation, and Neighborhoods. Yes, Ms. Valencia was relocating from the area.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions from council regarding item 3? Seeing none, we'll open this up to the public. Regarding item 3, I do not see anyone in person and confirm that there is no one online. I'll close public comments. Any comments further from council members? Jeremiah Williams.
Would like to thank her for her service and best wishes to her future.
Thank you. So I have a resolution accepting the resignation of Monica Valencia from the City of Modesto Culture Commission. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilmember Wright.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Alvarez. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Vice Mayor Ricky.
Aye.
Councilmember Bavaro.
Aye.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Wright.
Aye.
Councilmember Gutierrez-Brayton.
Aye.
Councilmember Alvarez.
Aye.
And Mayor Zwallen.
Aye. Carries unanimously. Item 4, consider appointing former Culture Commission member Dewey Bedford to fill one Modesto resident vacancy on the Culture Commission for a partial second term from July 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2024. Does council have any questions of staff? Seeing none, I'll open this up to the public. Item 4. I do not see anyone in person and confirm that there is no one online. I will close public comments on item 4 and ask council for further comments. I see none, so we have a resolution appointing former Culture Commission member Dewey Bedford to fill one Modesto resident vacancy on the Culture Commission with a partial term from July 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2024. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, motion by Vice Mayor Ricky, second by Councilmember Scudia Brayton. Will the clerk please call the roll for this item?
Vice Mayor Ricky.
Aye.
Councilmember Bavaro.
Aye.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Wright.
Aye.
Councilmember Scutia Brayton.
Aye.
Councilmember Alvarez.
Aye.
And Mayor Zwollen.
Aye, so it carries unanimously. Next is public comment period. Does anyone wish to speak on any item under public comment? And this is for items not on the council agenda. Each person has 3 minutes to speak. I have currently five blue cards, and I see some hands raising online. So we will go forward at this time. First is Jerry Thompson.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Last week, as you know, we had Graffiti Week. It was a very busy week for a lot of us out there with our classics. Sunday, they did the Modesto area street rods, which is in McHenry Village. From what I can see, it was a massive turnout. And then all the events throughout the week was another massive turnout each night. Then we were involved in the parade, in which I had a good time, and I know a lot of others did. And it was nice to participate with some of you on the council and the crews. And so it was a lot of camaraderie from that. Also went to the show on Saturday. I didn't go Sunday, but I went Saturday. It was a massive turnout. And then today, the Senate had Transportation Committee voted on AB 436. So far it has passed committee. They're still waiting for 2 more votes to make it official. And then it will go on to the the Senate Committee of Local Government. So they're not sure on the date when that vote will be taking place, but I'm sure it'll be sometime this month. So hopefully cruising won't be a crime, but will be a part of our lifestyle and our culture, like cruising culture of Modesto. And we look forward to when that day does come, and it brings back a family-friendly environment like it did Friday night and throughout last week. Thank you.
Thank you. Next online is Thomas Helm.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. My name is Thomas Helm. I'm the co-founder and co-director of a nonprofit called Valley Improvement Projects. I know some of you are familiar with it. I wanted to tell you a quick story if you haven't heard it from me before. Back in the early 80s, the California Waste Management Board commissioned a study by a group called Sorrell and Associates. And this study outlined where things like trash incinerators should be sited. And the study specifically names rural communities where the residents are employed in things like farming and ranching, non-English speaking communities with a high school diploma or less education. It even specifically says Catholic communities. They don't come out and say Latino farm worker communities, but that's pretty much what they are describing. 1 year after that came out, the deal was made to start building a trash incinerator in West Stanislaus County, which is surrounded by about 80%, maybe even more Latino farm workers. This is a practice that the industry used to site these facilities in places where they didn't think people would complain about them. And that facility has been out there near the Crow's Landing area for about 40 years now. Despite Modesto being one of the first places in the country to have a volunteer curbside recycling pickup program, after the incinerator came about, that soon went away, and we just barely now got back blue recycling bins. And that's partially because if people just throw their recyclables in the trash, the Coventa, the incinerator, gets to burn them and make money, and they actually need to have 800 tons of waste every day in order to maximize their profits. I say all that story to say that Valley Improvement Projects is against the use of the trash incinerator, which releases not only toxic air pollution, particulate matter, and also greenhouse gases, but it disincentivizes more sustainable waste practices like recycling and composting. Many of you know we are all in on having Modesto and Stanislaus County turn a corner and become known as a zero waste capital in California. Investments are being made on a state and federal level through attempts to reduce greenhouse gases and undo a history of environmental injustice like what happened with trash incinerators. And there's lots of opportunities. We're going to be doing community workshops, looking at the jobs that can be created and the health impacts that can be improved. And we hope for all of your support and all of your participation, and look forward to talking to you all more about that. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Next is Ryan Paulson.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. My name is Ryan Paulson, and I come to you tonight to support a sports complex and affordable housing at the former Muni Golf Course. Any investment in our youth is a worthy investment. We need more soccer fields, baseball fields, and a football stadium on the west side. This is an opportunity to work with Modesto City Schools to create a lasting legacy on the west side that can be used by youth teams and high school teams in the area. Team sports keep kids active, teach them soft skills, give them a greater purpose, and players learn how to sacrifice for others. This facility could give many more kids access to a healthier lifestyle. This would also benefit Modesto High School students by giving them access to facilities that are already at other MCS high schools. Like Mary Grogan Park, you can leave a legacy for generations at Muni Park. In closing, I appreciate your commitment to Modesto, your civic involvement, and your desire to improve the quality of life for our citizens. Thank you.
You're welcome. Next online is Alicia Hager.
Thank you, Mr. Paulson. I loved that we were trying to commit to our community on the west side. I do see some road work happening over here finally. I'd love to see some drainage over here now that we've been flooding for a good 20 years. It'd be great to get those fixed up. I'd like to say a few things just to remind everybody that we are coming up on a year of Paul Chavez's death, but we have not forgotten Samuel Mutzi's. Mutzi. I mean, I guess it really doesn't matter when you're a murderer, right? We haven't forgotten any of his skeletons. I know he's still snuggling with his wife at night, probably thinking of his future unborn kids and probably some cherishable grandchildren in there. Unfortunately, although he's a human being, so is my brother, and his life was taken in the max of 30 seconds. In that 30 seconds, no name was asked if it was him. It was called on a family call, disturbance call. Nobody asked his name. Nobody asked what's wrong. Nobody asked how they can help. But two men showed up, armed and dangerous. Unfortunately, they had badges and buttonettes on and called themselves the MPD. During this transaction, neither one of them tried to untug him or perhaps use each other's techniques that they learned in training. Although this was denied by the DA, her exact words were, common sense could say that 5 feet was not far enough. Now, I want to talk about that because this DA is not just the regular DA for Modesto, right? There's numerous DAs. This DA, she works especially with domestic violence. So it's no shock that she thought Paul Chavez was going to go for my mother, who was not involved in the call. Unfortunately, this needs to go to a different DA. We have gotten audits approved. Thank you very much, California. We're welcoming LA and their techniques on what they use to actually totally hold all officers accountable. This is going to be a new technique that you guys can all see in our community. I want you guys all to look out and to stay aware of how you move, how fast you move, especially with these training tactics. They have a lot of old force on there using apparently new techniques, and that's not working. A couple of their techniques include not using anything but a taser, basically. If they tase you once and it doesn't work on you, they will, and if you're drunk, apparently that's against the law, but they will shoot you. And they will not shoot you to stop you, they will shoot you to kill. Heart shot, that's what they gave him. 2 shots through the heart, 1 through the back. Never did they shoot at the leg or the arm as trained. Never did they use any of their training tactics, such as a block gun, such as, I know that there's another kind of block gun that they're informing to use. Basically came up on, I would call this mandatory manslaughter, because I mean, you thought about it before you went into your car. You didn't do your 4-way checks on your car to make sure you had all equipment.
Alicia,
oh, hold on, sweetie, hold on, because
you've exceeded your time, so please finish your
comments. That's fine. I know that you're in a rush to go home to your dinner, Sue, but I'm still speaking, and it'll be only 20 seconds if that's okay. And if you wouldn't have interrupted me, I would have been finished by now. Is that okay with you?
By continuing to speak, you're disrupting the conduct of the meeting, and if you don't stop,
you're disrupting me. May I just finish my sentence? I'm being very mature about this, but you're acting like a little fucking baby.
Okay, we're going
to
turn it off.
You gonna cry about it too? You're a crying little bitch.
We're going to turn it off. Thank you. All right, next in person, we have Howard C.
Hi, my name is Howard Carmen. I'm here on a couple of them, and I probably killed 2 birds with 1 stone, as the phrase says. I'm very concerned about the Highway Patrol and the Caltrans, and I need some answers in regards to it, and everybody has different opinions. I understand that you are not supposed to camp on any property and this by section codes and blah, blah, blah. When I called Caltrans, they said, well, we only have a certain amount of time, and once a month we got to go all the way in through Stanislaus County, all the way to Fresno, and through Stanislaus County, all the way almost to Sacramento before we hit the end. And camping, I guess, is okay to be on Caltrans property on the hillside to put a tent up and everything for the last 3 months, and I've been trying to resolve the problem. They explained to me that when I called the Highway Patrol, that it's up to the Caltrans to be able to go out there. And he said they don't have the manpower to be able to do that. There is a total, and I had been told by the watch commander or whoever the captain is, I don't know how they do it with the Highway Patrol as far as their termination, but they said specifically that they only have 5 officers. And now these 5 officers that they have is including all the way to Fresno in Stanislaus County, all the way to the end going north and southbound. And they have 5 vehicles to be able to do this, to be able to, other than called out on accidents and stuff like this. So I'm asking for instructions as to what they're supposed to do, because they're not seeing any support. They're telling me that there is no funding. There's funding for the Highway Patrol, but or for the vice versa, the Caltrans, and they're unable to, and that their hands are tied, that they can't do nothing. And I don't understand any reasoning, because the Modesto PD got their funding and everything. I just want to know about the funding, or if I could be in contact with in regards to finding out exactly what's going on. They need help, Highway Patrol. It's not that they want to hire people and everything. They have only 5 cop cars, and I'm talking from Highway 580, the whole Stanislaus County, let's just put it that way. And they're all separated into zones. And they don't have much time to be able to do anything, and that's not even adding the fact of all the accidents and things that have happened. So where's the support between Caltrans and Highway Patrol? And that's my question. So also to let you know, that was my question as well on agenda number 5 on the meetings. because I didn't hear anything about Caltrans or the Highway Patrol about the funding or anything. They're saying that they're allotted so much money or whatever, and that when they get called out, they only get paid, or let's say money or funds for that particular thing, the Highway Patrol, and that their hands tied. And that they have to serve eviction notice for this process. Why? The public's tired of it, living under bridges and starting fires and on the hillside on Highway 99. So if I can get in contact with somebody, I sure appreciate it, because we want answers.
All right. Who would you recommend? I know I don't see her here. I was going to have someone talk to you.
She's not here tonight.
That can give
I
you
know
the
that.
information. Okay, we're going to get your contact information and talk to you about that, because those are both state agencies that you're referring to. So we'll get some information for you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks so much. All right, next online is Sarah Vega.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Sara Arroyo and I work with Valley Improvement Project. I am here to invite you guys to the Zero Waste meetings that we will be hosting alongside our partners, which is our meeting will be hosted on June 26th, Monday, June 26th, 5 p.m. at the North Valley Labor Federation Hall. The address is 417 7th Street, and we're inviting everyone from our community to come and have an open discussion about what zero waste is and what it will look like in our county and how we can support our most vulnerable community. Like Tom Helm said, we know that the incinerator is strategically placed around a community that is mainly Latino speaking, and that they don't have the resources to communicate to our elected officials on how it is affecting them. So we are here to invite folks to come and have this discussion with us. This is actually our launching meeting, and we will be hosting one every for the next 4 months. So please feel free. Again, the meeting is June 26th at 5 p.m. at the North Valley Labor Federation, 417 7th Street in Modesto. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, in person, Derek Castle.
Thank you, Mayor, council members, staff. I come to you again asking that you consider safe sleeping sites for the unsheltered folk of Modesto and thereby reduce the enormous problems that we experience every day at Crusader and Enslin Park and other downtown parks. Some have wondered whether safe sleeping sites are successful. Last week, a newspaper article caught my attention, and I ended up watching live the Denver City Council meeting of last week. I know it's pretty sad that I don't have a life, but actually it was interesting because Denver has had safe camping now for 2.5 years. They call the sites SOS, Safe Outdoor Spaces. At the meeting, the council agreed that these safe outdoor spaces to be so successful that they renewed the 3 camping sites that they have for another 4 years, and they made it easier for other sites to be developed. The sites have provided shelter for over 500 folk and unsheltered folk, and of these, 180 have moved on to permanent housing. That is 36% are no longer on the streets. I know you're aware in terms of working with homeless folk, that's a pretty impressive number. In fact, it was so successful that only one of the city council members, and there's 13 of them in Denver, only one of them had any reservations at all about approving these campsites. And all the comments in the public comment section were positive. One council member pointed out that of the 500 that have gone through the campsites, not a single one has been arrested in the campgrounds. And in fact, Denver police statistics showed that while overall crime in Denver had gone up, In the neighbourhoods that were hosting these safe outdoor spaces, it actually had gone down. Last week was also the runoff election for Denver Mayor. Both the more progressive candidate and the more conservative candidate, who was head of their Chamber of Commerce, both of them were in strong support of these safe outdoor spaces. That shows how successful they've been. Denver has shown that if it's done right, safe outdoor spaces can be a win-win-win. A win in improving the lives of the unsheltered, of improving the quality of life for the citizens and residents, and reducing the need for police resources. And please allow Gresada to become family friendly again. Thank you.
You're welcome. Online, we have Laura Placencia.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Laura Placencia, and I am speaking on behalf of Valley Improvement Projects, a nonprofit based in Stanislaus County, working on social and environmental justice. As advocates for a more sustainable future, we urge the city to reconsider renewing the contract with Covanta, the incinerator located here in the county, or to contract with any waste-to-energy facility that releases pollution into our natural resources once the contract expires in 2027, and that we instead allocate funds towards more sustainable practices that don't pose negative impacts to our environment and public health, and that generate more jobs, as many zero waste plans have shown. VIP has invested in consulting with Zero Waste USA to generate a zero waste plan for the Stanislaus County. And in the process, we will be hosting a series of zero waste workshops, as my colleague has mentioned previously. And they will be hosted the last Monday of every month from June to September at 5 p.m. in Modesto. We will be reviewing topics such as what is zero waste and why it's important for the Stanislaus County. We will be exploring stories from other case studies and communities that have successfully implemented zero waste programs. We will be going over strategies for a just transition that ensures the involvement and benefits of all community members, particularly those that are most affected by waste incineration. And we will be discussing the challenges and opportunities in transitioning from waste incineration to more sustainable waste practices. By working together, we can create a zero waste plan that aligns with community values that practice environmental justice, cultivates a healthier and cleaner environment for all people, regardless of race or income levels. We hope to see you all there. And since I do have a little bit more time, I just want to express that zero waste does not completely mean no waste. It is a philosophy of wanting to get closer towards less waste and head towards a more circular economy that practices reducing plastic pollution, reusing products, recycling, along with composting, which can heavily contribute in reducing waste, and it can overall help us reduce greenhouse gases. Thank you for the time to speak.
You're welcome. Online again, I see Ramon Rodriguez.
Good afternoon. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I got a lot of stuff to say. Good evening, everyone. First of all, the last two speakers, in regards to the homeless safe camping space, the Denver model is extremely interesting and successful from what I heard. I agree with him a lot, because Modesto really needs to have a safe space for the homeless to camp. Just a safe space for them to camp, because it's happening everywhere, but we start having it. And since we're planning, you guys are going to implement a DAPE program, it'll be extremely successful. And we have a chat as well. Another topic, I've been reading an article from CNN, is that Houston, Texas has a new policy for the homeless, and that policy is called the Housing First Initiative. So we could start building housing for the homeless, And since we have the housing first, if we implement that, we can also provide services for the homeless, such as mental health, health care, services to connect to state, federal government benefits and everything, and provide them education, job training, and transitioning from homelessness to housing. And it's really, really interesting and powerful because the Housing First program that Houston implemented provided really good results, and it cost $18,000 per homeless person per year, compared to costing a lot of $30,000 to $50,000 for a homeless person to go to a hospital or being incarcerated just because they're homeless. And I'd love to see the Housing First initiative on top of the day program and the safe camping zone. That will be a really good relief for homeless who are suffering economically, as well as substance abuse, or they just wanted to get a fresh start. And Housing First seems needs to be implemented as soon as possible, because a lot of homeless that I've seen, they just need help. And Housing First is a good start. And for affordable housing, a sports center and affordable housing on a former municipal park is really good on the west side neighborhood, because it will bring pride, it will bring health, it will make the neighborhood bright again, where kids will have opportunity to play sports in the neighborhood instead of having to go elsewhere or turn to crime or anything. And that needs to start right now. Thank you.
You're welcome. Next online, Teresa Clutter.
Hello?
Hi there, we can hear you.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Teresa Clutter. I am the mom of Paul Chavez Jr., who was killed on July 14, 2022 by Sam Muncie and tased by Sergio Valencia. I am here to once again still request and demand justice for Paul Chavez in the unlawful killing that occurred last year in front of me and his wife and other family members. Today is June 13th. Tomorrow is the 14th. Tomorrow is 11 months since Paul has been killed. And it's a little, can't believe so much time has passed already, and we're already coming up on a year anniversary for him. And yet our family is nowhere closer to any accountability or any justice for our family. Not a day goes by that our family doesn't still mourn for the loss of the family member that you took. My grandchildren mourn for their daddy and don't understand why there's bad people in this world, but their daddy's not here because he wasn't bad. My other grandson, his name is Joshua. He's 7 years old. You know, you don't think it affects other children, especially if they're not the children of the person that was killed. But yesterday, Joshua had a really hard day. He went to go visit his cousins, and while he was inside one of the bedrooms, you know, he had an urge to look for his uncle. And he just started crying and saying how much he missed his uncle, and he just wished his uncle was here. And when his mom asked him, you know, what do you miss about your Uncle Paul so much? And he said, the fact that he just loved me. Because Paul was he had such a big heart when it came to children. He loved kids. He hated seeing kids being bullied or not participating. He would always go up to the kid and try to get them to come and play, or, you know, try to bring them out so they would all have a good time. So it really hit home yesterday when he said that, because it's going to be 11 months since his uncle's passed, and it still hurts him. And that's not his dad. This is just an uncle who picked him up on the weekends and took him camping and did fun stuff with his cousins.
All right, Teresa, you've exceeded your time.
All right, so I just am here to say we still want and seek justice for Paul Chavez. And I hope that you guys are still doing something on the back end, even though it doesn't seem like you're doing anything. Justice for Paul Chavez, always.
All right. Thank you. Next is Brittany Chavez.
Every single meeting we've had, you guys have heard time and time again on what we're seeking, what we want, how it's not going to be given up, how we're going to keep going. And you're also hearing parts about my husband, Paul Chavez, and the person that he truly was, and not the person that Sam Muncie pertains him to be. Because when the DA wrote what she wrote, it just incriminated him. Like I said, he's on borrowed time. Whether it's 1 year, 2 years, or 5 years, I'm gonna seek justice. It will happen. There's no amount of money that will ever be enough where I'm not gonna say, no, it's okay, he doesn't deserve jail. No, he deserves jail. He deserves prison. He deserves never to be a cop again. He deserves never to have a firearm, let alone any weapon. See, he's trigger happy. He holds grudges. He has a vendetta. So what are you going to do about it again? And nobody came up on here and spoke ill will about him. You only know whatever you guys think you know, but you didn't have him in your life for 20 years, because I knew Paul for 20 years. I'm 32. High school sweetheart. We went through a lot of stuff and up and downs. We grew together, grew apart, grew together, grew apart. And that's what you do when you love somebody. You stay and you fight with them. But it seems like you guys just don't care. And I have a problem with that. I'm going to end it with this. I do not appreciate being followed. This isn't the first time. The first time I thought, oh, I'm probably being a little bit paranoid. This time, there's never cops over on this side of town where I live. Coming home, just picked up my niece. I look over to the side, there's a cop right there. Okay, probably just did a stop, whatever. Start staring at the truck, eyeballing it. As I go up, I said, he's about to turn right behind me. Oh, he did. And where I have to make my signal, I went in a rush to get to my house and had my lawyer on the phone, because we all know what you cops do. We all know what the chief allows and the city allows to innocent people. You shoot and you ask questions later and you make up your own summaries and stories and everything later. You lie. You're a liar, a murderer, you're a thief. But that cop stopped and he stared me down and my truck, and that is not okay. At all. I did nothing wrong. I take the same route every single time. Do not make me feel uncomfortable ever again. Have your chief of police talk to his officers. That's it.
All right, thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak? I see Patrick online. Patrick?
Hello?
Hi there, we can hear you.
Okay. So, you guys know I've been coming to most of these whenever I can handle it mentally, because after every one of these council meetings, hearing from my friends and family, talking about my good friend Paul being murdered, gunned down, left to die alone, handcuffed on the ground, it makes me sad. It puts me in a sad mood for the rest of my day and, you know, the following days to come. I ask the board, how would you feel if you were in Brittany's shoes, forced to stand there and watch her husband, your wife, get shot by a police officer, and then get the gun turned on you and told you to back the fuck up or you're gonna get shot? Okay? Sue, I ask you, what if it was Lynn, your husband? Or what if it was any of your children? Sue, you have 6 kids, right? What if it was one of them? Could you put yourself in those shoes? Think about it. What if it was one of yours? How would you feel? Okay? Paul didn't have a gun, a knife, a sword, a vendetta. He didn't have any of those things. He had a damn tow hitch in his hand that he had just gotten back because someone had borrowed it. The man was intoxicated. He didn't know what the hell was going on. He was woken up after he was grounded on the grass, relaxing, you know, taking a load off. And he gets awakened by Officer Muncie, immediately gets out of his car with his gun drawn. If you ask me, that's the appearance of a guy that knew what he was going to do. See, Sam knew what he was going to do. I promise you. And for you to sit back and say, nah, that's not the case, that's crap. Because Sam knew he was going to kill Paul that day. He was just waiting for the time. See, a few weeks prior, when Paul was going through his mental health crisis, Sam Muncie escorted him to behavioral health on Claws. During that ride, I'm sure Paul said some pretty mean things to Sam. And I know if I see somebody or I have an interaction with somebody, especially one like that, 3 weeks prior, I'm going to remember that. Sam knew Paul. He had interactions with Paul. He knew Paul was going through mental health crisis.
Okay, Patrick, your time's
You're
up.
going to cut me off?
Well, you've exceeded your time.
All right. Well, you know, I ask you, Sue, think about what if it was Lynn or your 6 children.
All right. Is there anyone else that wishes to come forward to speak under public comment? All right. This is for items not on the agenda this evening.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And when you have 3 minutes.
Okay, I'm just here I forgot to thank y'all again, and I forgot to invite you to our Juneteenth. The event will be this Saturday at the Crusader Park at 11 o'clock to 5, and we would like to invite the whole council to be there, please. And we're also going to have a Freedom March at 10:30. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the invitation. All right. Welcome, Loretta, and then we will have you from the back.
Well, number one, I hope I've got enough guts to say this, and I hope I don't get kicked too hard, but I'd like to kick somebody, you know where, for talking like they did and not having the guts to come down here and talk to you. Number one, I do not feel it's fair. My dad was killed one day. My dad was shot in the head. My son and I walked in the room and found him. Police came and said it was suicide. Don't blame the police. The police come there afterwards. And I myself have been on so much medicine, it's pathetic. And I've always been narcotic, just like that young man was. And someone that runs from a policeman, I don't care who it is, when a policeman says stop, he means stop and stand and wait. And by gollies, if you don't, in my own version, I do believe the policeman's got the right to do so. And yes, I was in U.S. Marine Corps back in the 50s. I became ill at Camp Lejeune with an illness to this day everyone says is a put on. And doctors still do not believe it. But in some type of amnesia, I can do lots of things. And by gollies, if I go into one of those crazy whatever it is, I'm just as apt to knock somebody down. But I'll guarantee you, a good policeman knows what to do. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right.
Hi there.
Welcome.
Hi, my name is Kelly Gepley, and I am a mom of 2 living children who you have seen right over here, as well as I'm a special education teacher. I just recently moved from Edison High School, and I'm over in Ceres High School right now, where I'm going to be starting there. I was teaching math to special education students at the high school level, and now I'm going to be doing science. I am here because I wanted to bring up a safety issue that myself, as well as the people on my street, have found multiple concerns with. I live on Santa Ana Avenue, and we have noticed that there has been a very big increase in the speed of driving on how people drive along that road. The reason why I'm speaking to you guys is because we are trying to be preventative. Recently, I believe a few days ago, there was a car accident that happened where a drunk driver was driving down the road and they totaled a neighbor 3 doors down. They totaled the car that was parked in front of their road. This is the second time that this has happened since the roundabout was installed at La Loma, so between La Loma and Yosemite. So what I'm trying to do right now is try to help save some lives. I have my 2 children that I would love to be able to watch them play in the front yard. I absolutely do not feel comfortable doing that. Neither do 5 of my neighbors on my road, as well as on Las Palmas. It is right next to like the streets that connect Wilson Elementary School. And so that's why I'm here for you guys today. I understand that there was data that was taken where the police tracked how many cars drove down the road and how long it was, or what speed it was done. There were 694 vehicles that were tracked, and it said that only 2% of travelers traveled over 10% or 10 miles per hour or higher. However, I do not believe that is accurate data, considering the fact that you have a lot of people that drive down there during school time, so they intentionally drive slower. I can tell you, with me being on maternity leave, I have noticed just within being in my house, you can hear the cars driving down very, very fast down the road, as well as when I'm reading to my son at night, I can hear multiple cars just in that time frame that they're driving way too fast. So also, talked about that. So I would appreciate it if you guys could go back and relook at the data, because I think if you take out the data during school hours, that the data will show that the cars are driving way too fast, and it will eventually kill someone, because right now it's only killed 2 cars. I understand additionally, because we have been asking about a speed bump to be installed there. I understand that it is the cost of the neighbors that are supposed to be doing that. However, there is a very large inequity issue that comes into play, because we are not affluent like the other side of La Loma is. So it's $8,000, and for the neighborhood that's there, a third of the neighborhood is rentals, and I don't believe, it's not up to the renters to be able to pay for that. My husband has MS. He is no longer working right now. It's just not an equitable solution. So if there's any other alternatives, that would be absolutely wonderful, because we need to be preventative with this. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, and I'm sure they have been noted. Thank you. All right, online, I see Bianca Lopez.
Good evening, council members. My name is Bianca Lopez. I'm co-founder of Valley Improvement Projects. And as my other comrades here today have shared about our upcoming Zero Waste in Stanislaus workshop series, for the next 4 Mondays, starting June 26, we'll be hosting Zero Waste workshops to talk about sustainable and a just transition away from waste incineration. Here in the county, we burn 800 tons of waste. At least we have the capacity to burn 800 tons of waste. And the City of Modesto and the county have contracted with Covanta, the incinerator, to burn hundreds of thousands of tons on a yearly basis. And it's time for us to transition away to a more sustainable practice like zero waste. Cal Recycle has identified 8 focus areas to reach a 75% goal, and I can list them, but what I wanted to really focus on is the fact that The continued use and the funding of incinerators only serve as a barrier to implementing these focus areas. The state cannot both continue to feed incinerators while also working towards redirecting waste to composting, reuse, and recycling facilities. It doesn't make sense to continue to spend millions of dollars on facilities that burn and destroy materials, which then leads us to continue the extraction. Instead of figuring out how to conserve these resources for future generations and protect public health and the environment from contamination. We hope community members who are currently struggling with the 3-bin system, wanting to learn more about best practices on how to use their compost bin, how to keep it clean. What does zero waste really mean? And how can we create a zero waste plan as a community? We want those people to be able to come together to learn about these issues and to really push for a zero waste campaign at a local level, because it really isn't just about climate change or a just transition. It's about doing the right thing and making sure that we no longer invest in polluting practices like incineration. It's actually located in Crow's Landing, predominantly Latino community, monolingual, farm working community that is already overburdened by a lot of other cumulative impacts. Most of these incinerators are located in such communities, and it's not by accident. It is very intentional. But we want to make sure that folks here in the community, not just in Modesto, but across the county, join us to learn about zero waste and to ask that the city and the county really invest in shutting down the incinerator or no longer contracting with the incinerator when the contract ends in 2027, that we plan for a zero waste future and invest in the economic infrastructure to be able to sustain that while we stop polluting our air and the communities that are most vulnerable. Thank you. We hope to see you guys on June 26th at 5 p.m. It is a hybrid meeting, and we will be hosting these for the next 4 months. Hope to see you all there.
All right, thank you very much. Is there anyone else in person that would? All right, Howard, you've already had your opportunity.
It's open comment, ma'am.
Yes, but you've already had your comments.
That was on the green card.
So if it's something on the agenda, you'll have an opportunity when that agenda item comes up.
We're not talking about agenda, we're opening public comment, correct?
Correct, but you've had your opportunity.
What's the difference between that and an open comment? So I get one chance and one time to speak my piece in open comment, or
That's correct.
Not to flip a coin?
That's correct.
Never heard of that, never used to it. I can't believe this. Never heard of it. I've been coming to this meetings for every day.
All right, does anyone else wish to speak under public comment? This is for items not on the council agenda, and each person has 3 minutes. All right, I do not see anyone else in person, confirming that there's no one else online. All right, thank you very much. Next on the agenda is consent items. An item may be removed from consent and discussed at the request of a member of the public or council member. Is there anyone on the council that would like a consent item removed for further discussion? Seeing none, is there anyone in the public that would like an item removed from consent for further discussion or comment? Seeing none, will the city clerk, I want to confirm that there is no one online with their hands raised regarding consent items. No one online. So will the city clerk please read the consent items?
Item 5, consider approving the minutes from June 6, 2023 council meeting. Item 6, consider accepting the public improvements made by Public Storage, Inc., release securities upon expiration of statutory periods and initiate reimbursement in the amount of $477,126 as outlined in the acquisition and shortfall agreement. Item 7, consider approving an agreement with Hinder Leader and Lamas and Associates at Abreu, California for cannabis consulting services for a total amount not to exceed $784,050 over 3 years. Item 8, consider approving an agreement with American Chiller Service, Inc. for HVAC maintenance and emergency repairs for the Modesto Century Plaza for a total amount not to exceed $375,000 over 5 years. Item 9, consider authorizing staff to apply for all electric vehicle charging station grants. Item 10, consider authorizing the submittal of applications to the United States Department of Agriculture Composting and Food Waste Grant Program. Item 11, consider approving pre-qualified engineering consultant list for water, wastewater, and storm drain for various CIP projects for a period of 3 years with two one-year extension options. Item 12, consider approving the Second Amendment to the purchase agreement with All Season Lawn, Landscaping, and Lawn Maintenance Services for water wells and tanks to a revised total amount of $402,671 and extending the term of the agreement to December 31st, 2023. Item 13, consider approving an agreement with Envirogen Technologies for a dual MINX regenerable ion exchange treatment system for a total amount not to exceed $1,660,348.
All right, may I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilmember Wright.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Williams. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Vice Mayor Ricky.
Aye.
Councilmember Bavaro.
Aye.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Wright. Aye. Councilmember Scutia-Brayton.
Aye.
Councilmember Alvarez.
Aye.
And Mayor Zwollen.
Aye. Next on the agenda, that carries unanimously. Next on the agenda is council comments and reports. Do any of the council members have any comments and reports? Councilmember Ricky, Vice Mayor Ricky.
Thank you, Mayor. Graffiti was last weekend. I just want to echo the sentiments of the cruising council. I was just blown away by the crowd. It was fantastic. There was so much enthusiasm. The cars were incredible. It was just a really neat piece of Americana we have right here in Modesto. I got to ride with Jerry, who's here tonight. Thank you, Jerry, again. In the 76 Trans Am, it was fantastic. Huge kudos need to go out to the Kiwanis who put this all together. All the coordination with the city of Modesto, and all of our sister law enforcement agencies that were there. I saw like Sirius PD and Turlock and CHP were out there all helping us. And it was just a really great experience. So after we went around the parade, I was with Councilmember Alvarez in his car, and we were stuck inside the event. We couldn't get out, and we were sitting there, and a Turlock officer was right next to us, and he's just like, "Here, let me help you guys through." He had no idea who we are, you know. He was just kind, and he helped us, and that was amazing. So it's just a great event, and I appreciate all the help we got from all the sister agencies. I also want to talk about sideshows. This is a completely different subject in a completely different part of town, specifically in the Woodland West neighborhood. We're seeing more and more issues of sideshows in the Woodland West neighborhood right now. It's especially true in places you kind of wouldn't expect it, like the intersection of Diablo and Woodland. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the impacts of the new MPD airplane on the sideshows. And I'm also looking forward to any recommendations MPD or the city might have to try to rectify the situation. You know, families in Woodland West, they deserve peaceful and safe neighborhoods, and that means freedom from sideshows and street racing. Another thing I want to talk about is Crusader Park. It continues to be a problem in my district. For the last several years, it's been consistently dangerous with drug dealing, drug use, trash, vandalism, prostitution, all in close proximity to playgrounds, bathrooms, the splash pad, and the pool. The pavilion is also a huge issue with it being used as essentially a day shelter every day for the unhoused. The residents of this neighborhood deserve better, and the city needs to move and be more effective in its solutions. The idea we heard tonight from Denver is a very good one, and I think we need to explore it. I think that's my time. Thanks, Mayor.
All right. Councilmember Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. I also want to say thank you to the City of Modesto, all of the agencies that came out to help secure the event that we had on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We did, helped park 1,400 cars at MJC West. Boy, it was a challenge, but we got it done. But backing up to Friday. It was a great event. It was a great family event. There were no incidents that we know of. Saturday was well attended at the campus, as well as Sunday. We are so proud that we raised over $30,000 more than what we raised last year, to a grand total somewhere around $275,000. That's still some expenses that we have to pay, but all the money that we do raise goes right back into 35 different nonprofit organizations in our community. So whatever the city did in that dollar amount technically goes right back into the community, and we are so happy that it went off without a glitch. The weather was excellent, if not perfect. And again, thank you to all the city, police, fire, everyone that was involved, staff. Thank you for a successful North Modesto Kiwanis in partnership with the City of Modesto event that took place this weekend that's going to benefit nonprofit organizations in our community. Also, this coming Saturday, as it was spoken, there is going to be a Juneteenth festivity. It normally is at the King Kennedy Center, and so last year we changed it, and we'll change it again this year. It will be at Greseda Park at 11 o'clock. Prior to that kickoff, there will be a march around the park, just around the park, which is, if you add that, it's 4 blocks. And that will start at 10:30, and it's called a Freedom March. We're so happy that this is now a federal holiday, and look forward to other events in the future with Juneteenth. Hopefully, the public, those that are here and then those that are at home, can come out and enjoy what we like to call a celebration of freedom. So thank you so much, Mayor.
You're welcome. And next is Eric Alvarez.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to talk about a couple of events that I attended over the past week and weekend, and then the ribbon cutting at Ralston Tower. But I want to make just a brief comment on my absence from council. Last Tuesday, I was in Los Angeles at the California Endowment for work. So in the vein of events, it was a great participating as a guest speaker. There were numerous guest speakers at the 12th annual Khmer graduation and recognition banquet, which is for our Cambodian American community. That took place at the Modesto High Auditorium this past Saturday. Congratulations to the class of 2023. I had a great time also, as my colleagues mentioned, at the graffiti parade last Friday. It was literally perfect weather. So thank you thank you MPD for dialing up that weather for us. It went smoothly from start to finish, and again, I want to thank all of those that were responsible for hosting the event, staffing the event, and all the volunteers that made it possible. So last week, I, along with city staff, attended Ralston Tower Park ribbon cutting in District 2 near 5 Points. The new park will provide a variety of recreational opportunities for our residents to enjoy, both those young and young at heart. There are horseshoe pits and courts for cornhole, which is a more and more popular pastime. There is a senior fitness structure and board game tables with accessible seating. This park is also pet friendly with a designated pet lawn, pet watering stations, and pet waste bags and bins. This park was also designed to ensure we don't lose the beautiful trees that are an amazing feature of this park in the city of Modesto. I would like to thank the residents of Ralston Tower for helping us to design the park and pick the features and amenities. They did a fantastic job, and their efforts were reflected in the final product. This project was funded by grants from both the state and federal government, and I want to thank our bipartisan group of representatives for working together to make the funding for this project possible. Senators Dianne Feinstein and Alex Padilla, Congressman Tom McClintock and John Duarte, State Senator Susan Eggman and Maria Alvarado Gill, and Assemblymember Juan Alanis. The ribbon cutting is an example of how our tax dollars can be used to make a real and lasting improvement for our residents and our community at large. Finally, I want to thank the city staff in the Parks and Recreation and Neighborhoods Department for their hard work and dedication to the city, to the quality of life in the city of Modesto. The state and federal grants that paid for this park are highly competitive, and we compete with every other city in the state and country for these dollars. And if it was not for the tenacity and professionalism of our city staff, the newly added park would not be possible. So thank you for your service to our community. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Next is David Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. I too was at graffiti Friday night, and it was first hour was a great time. We had great weather. However, staying till the very end, till about 8:30, I did notice a lot of racing up and down McHenry. I was really concerned, children running in and out of the streets. And we're just lucky we didn't have any fatalities or major incidents. I think that's something we need to look at for the future. Some of those cars were probably doing around 45 to 50 miles an hour with people on bikes going in and out of cars. So it's a great time. However, I think really policing it and making sure that maybe we lower the speed limit on McHenry during that time is something we need to look at. I'm just thankful that no one was injured.
Right, thank you. Councilmember Scudia Brayton.
Thank you, Mayor. I have the honor of having been appointed by this council body here to the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District Board. Thank you for that opportunity. This body, the board, the district addresses issues that impact air quality in the 8-county San Joaquin Valley area. One of the areas that this district focuses on is the development and administering of incentive and grants aimed at reducing and addressing harmful emissions of gas in this valley. As part of this program, one of the things that they're promoting right now, and I come bearing props, is this air purifier. It's a single room air purifier. It's a single room air purifier, and it's currently being made available at no cost to anyone that applies for it and qualifies. So I encourage everyone to do so during this time when there are fires. It would be of tremendous benefit to a household to have this in one of the rooms. Of the 8-county area that this board oversees, the San Joaquin, our immediate area, is the one that has least applied for these room air purifiers. Fresno is out of them. They're out of them. So again, there's an opportunity in our area to have these. So I encourage everyone interested in obtaining more information to log on to valleyair.org/room purifier. Again, valleyair.org/room purifier. Also, on a different note, I was invited and attended a community presentation at the King Kennedy Community Center. This presentation was coordinated by the Modesto Park Equity Project. This is an initiative that is being led by Valley Youth, basically a group of high school students of diverse backgrounds and very eloquent. Some of them were here earlier and I saw them leave. Unfortunately, they're not here now, but nevertheless, I do want to recognize them. This initiative that they formulate a committee for is funded by the Tuolumne River Trust, very active and collaborative with the City of Modesto. So what this committee is doing of youth, they're focusing on increasing equity to Modesto parks, basically by improving financial investment in these parks. And they're focusing right now on 2 parks, the Modesto Robertson Road and the James Marshall Parks. So basically the committee's driven by the premise that your zip code should not determine a person's access to a beautiful park, to a safe park, or to a healthy park. So again, they're trying to bring attention and awareness to their cause, and they're making presentations throughout the community. These youngsters are being led by Hillary Beardsley, and Hillary is a program manager in the Tuolumne River Trust. So more to come on that organization. They're currently collecting data through surveys. At the conclusion of this report, they plan on presenting to the council, so perhaps at the end of this year, on the findings of what their surveys have obtained. Lastly, this past Saturday, council members Wright, Williams, and Bavaro and I attended the Gould Medical Group's 75th anniversary event. This was a wonderful event. They brought out a large spectrum of community leaders and just individuals to celebrate this medical group. It's one of the largest employers here in Modesto, and they began back in the 1940s with two brothers, Mano brothers, and I know the mayor has immense personal backstory and knows the family well, but these brothers could have, they could have grown this business anywhere, but they grew it here in Modesto, not only providing business and providing jobs for our community, but what is most important is they're providing an option for much needed quality care. And that above everything else is just immensely important. So it was wonderful to be part of that event and to celebrate them being in the city of Modesto. And wrap up, also Go Parade and graffiti nights. It was a wonderful experience, and so proud to have had that in the city of Modesto. Thank you.
All right, I have a few comments to make on regards to graffiti. That we were honored to have Mackenzie Phillips in Modesto. She was 12 years old when she played in the role in the American Graffiti movie, and so she was Carol Morrison in the movie. Yes. But anyway, it was great to have a conversation with her a little bit about that, but even more about the work that she's currently involved in. So I look forward to continuing that relationship possibly with her work going forward. On Thursday evening, we hosted the League of California Cities Central Valley Division quarterly meeting at the McHenry Mansion outdoors. It was beautiful. And we're honored to have the presence of Ali Taj, the president for the League of California Cities. That was a great event. Then I would like to end by reading an obituary, just a short part of an obituary of a person that served in Modesto for a very long time. This is Andrew Ross Campbell, died on Sunday, June 4th, 2023, at age 96. He was born in San Francisco, California, and spent his childhood in the San Leandro area. After graduating from San Leandro High School, he enlisted in the U.S. Army Air Forces. He was stationed for much of his service in France and recalled seeing the lights come back on in Paris. Following his military service, Ross attended San Jose State, studied engineering, and was a member of Sigma Alpha Epsilon. The family moved to Modesto in 1957, where Ross joined the City of Modesto and was named Director of Public Works in 1963 and served in that role for 20 years. From then until his retirement, Ross helped guide the city through busy times. He was active in the Modesto Engineers Club and countless citywide projects. He was a consummate engineer and was involved in water district development for decades. Later in life, he volunteered for the city of Ripon, which he relished, gaining great satisfaction from mentoring others. As a sportsman and avid golfer, he was thrilled to play the old course at St. Andrews. So I just wanted to take a moment to honor him and his service in the city of Modesto. Thank you very much. Are there any other comments from council members? Seeing none at this time, does the city manager have any comments and reports? All right, thank you. Next on the agenda is hearings. Item 14, a hearing to consider approving the application and issuance of a permit to operate as a non-emergency medical transport company to America West Medical Transportation Incorporated in the city of Modesto. And we will have the staff report. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Good to see you again. I'm Lieutenant Meredith from the Investigative Services Division of the Police Department. I'm here to present item 14 and 15, which will follow directly after, regarding approval of a non-emergency transport application, this one for America West Medical Transport. I do? Oh, good. See if this works. Okay, it shows it's on, but. All right, first slide. Sorry about that. The municipal code outlines the requirements for companies wishing to operate non-emergency medical transports within the city of Modesto. Interested parties must submit an application, require documentation, and pay a filing fee of $1,000. The Modesto Police Department then conducts a background investigation. America West completed and submitted the application. They provided the required documentation. They paid the fee. We reviewed and approved their application. They concluded the background investigation. No issues were found. As of now, there's been no dialogue contrary or anything where people are trying to contend them being issued one. So there are currently 8 permitted ambulance companies approved to operate within the city limits. There's some images there of the vehicle that they've offered that'll be doing these transports, at least an example. And the staff recommendation is to approve the application and issuance of the non-emergency medical transport permit to America West Medical Transportation. I can take any questions if you have any.
All right, thank you. Does council have any questions of staff? Seeing none at this time, we'll open it up to the public. Are there any members of the public that would like to come forward regarding item 13? I do not see anyone in person, and confirming that there is no one online. No one online. So I will close public comments. Any council comments? Oh, excuse me. Brittany Chavez? All right, Brittany Chavez, did you have a comment regarding item 13?
Yes, that's my item. You can't come out and say this is what I'm gonna do, but you're not being looked at. They need to be looked at just like everybody else. And so that's what I am suggesting. They also need to be looked at. And that means with the camera.
We're covering item 14 at this time. Any public comment regarding item 14? All right. Is there anyone else that would like to comment on item 14 online? All right. Seeing none, I will close public comments. Any council comments regarding this item? Seeing none, I'll call for a motion for a resolution approving the application of America West Medical Transportation Incorporated and authorizing the issuance of a permit to operate as a non-emergency medical transport company in the city of Modesto. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Alvarez, second by Vice Mayor Ricky. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Vice Mayor Ricky.
Aye.
Councilmember Bavaro.
Aye.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Wright.
Aye.
Councilmember Scutia-Brayton.
Aye.
Councilmember Alvarez.
Aye.
And Mayor Zwallen.
Aye, so it carries unanimously. Next is item 15, a hearing to consider approving the application and issuance of a permit to operate as a non-emergency medical transport company to Quality Care Transportation Incorporated in the city of Modesto. So we'll have a report.
Thank you, Mayor. Similarly to the prior item, Quality Care Medical Transportation, the municipal code outlines, I'll go over through it again, sorry. Interested parties must submit an application required and submit all the documentation, do the filing fee. We then conducted a thorough background investigation. Quality Care did in fact complete and submit the application. They provided the required documentation. They paid the fee. We reviewed and approved the application, then concluded the background. There was no issues found, and there's been no dissent or anybody arguing that they shouldn't receive them at this time. We've had no complaints. So there's some images there that depict some examples of vehicles that Quality Care Transportation intends to use. And the staff recommendation is to approve the application and issuance of the non-emergency medical transport permit to Quality Care Transportation Incorporated.
All right, thank you very much for that report. Does council have any questions? Councilmember Alvarez.
I would be remiss if I didn't ask this. I'm sensing a trend here. This is the third one this year. Is there a statewide trend of these sorts of transportation companies going up?
So my belief is before COVID, we had quite a higher number. I think it's somewhere around 14 prior to the COVID. During that time, the permitting process kind of fell off due to people's access to going through the permitting process. And so now we're seeing a much more face-to-face contact, people applying for these types of permits and to provide a service in the city of Modesto.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. I'll now open the public hearing. Are there any members of the public that would like to come forward regarding item 15? I do not see anyone in person. Is there anyone online regarding item 15? Confirmed, no one online. So I will close public comments and ask council for comments. Seeing none, I need a motion for a resolution approving the application of Quality Care Transportation Incorporated and authorizing the issuance of a permit to operate as a non-emergency medical transport company in the city of Modesto. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Williams, second by Councilmember Wright. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Vice Mayor Ricky.
Aye.
Councilmember Bavaro.
Aye.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Wright.
Aye.
Councilmember Scutia Brayton.
Aye.
Councilmember Alvarez.
Aye.
And Mayor Swallen.
Aye, so the motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much for the report, Lieutenant Meredith. All right, we will take a 5-minute break, 7:01, to return for new business item 16.
45 miles per hour.
All right, we will begin our meeting again with item 16, new business. This is to consider approving an agreement including language changes for a successor memorandum of understanding between the City of Modesto and Modesto City Employees Association, Modesto Confidential and Management Association, Modesto Police and Fire Non-Sworn Association, all for terms of July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2027. Welcome for our staff presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Christina Alger, the Director of Human Resources, here to present item number 16. I do want to make a comment that as I open this item up, it does include also salary and benefit changes to our unrepresented employees, which include management, executive, and charter officers. So just to start off, I'm going to give you a little bit of background on our negotiations process and what we've kind of experienced here at the city. So the city has experienced budget challenges since the Great Recession of 2008. Employees really stepped up to help the city in these trying times by giving up retiree medical benefits, taking furloughs, and paying their full share of contributions to CalPERS. The city continued to operate with a budget deficit that was never recovered from this time period. The city was forced to reduce the staffing levels, which left heavier workloads for those who remained. Then the pandemic came, further complicating the already challenging work environment. The labor market tightened, and once again, employees stepped up to help the city balance the budget. They took minimal wage increases that did not keep up with inflation. The pandemic also magnified inflation, and employees felt that even more. So this slide shows you a little bit about consumer price index, or what we also know as inflation. And what this shows you is just a little bit of history of the inflation rates for the last several years, and also the wage increases that our miscellaneous units have recognized for those same years. The very bottom line shows you how we've fallen behind the inflation through time. And so we basically have about a 10.4% deficit where we have not kept up with inflation rates. So labor market data, I'm going to talk a little bit about what a competitive market position is. So a competitive market position is one that is comparable to those in near proximity that provide similar services. These are typically the agencies that we either lose or gain employees from. Being within market is typically plus or minus 5% to the median. Before 2019, the city had set a market position that was below the market by 10%. In 2019, the city moved the mark to a below market 7.5% to median. With these new contracts, the city wishes to continue to move that mark. This time to 5% below, which is considered within market. We also look at internal equity and alignment as part of our process of looking at compensation. And so when we look at internal alignment, we also want to make sure that we have equity within the positions that are equivalent to each other. So for instance, managers with the same level of scope of work and the same span of control would be similarly compensated. So we take that into account along with doing a market study. So challenges that the city has seen over the last couple of years really are recruitment, retention, and delivery of services to the community because of the difficulty in retaining staff. So this chart depicts a little bit of what our compensation study came back with. And so what you're seeing here is the unions that we're bringing forward tonight, and also the unrepresented employees, and how far below market they are. So the blue lines depict base pay, and the red lines depict total compensation, which would include health benefits and those kinds of things. This slide shows a little bit about vacancy rate history. And so Vacancy rates are, the rates of percentage of vacancies that we have in a given year. And so you can see that over the last several years, and especially through the pandemic, we recognized some really high vacancy rates. The market was very, very challenging. And because of those inflation rates going up and things like that, our compensation has fallen behind. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and go into the agreements that we've reached with the unions and go through a little bit about what those contracts look like. So we've reached agreements with our 3 miscellaneous units. So Modesto City Employees Association, or MCEA, Modesto Non-Sworn Police and Fire Association, or MPNSA, and Modesto Confidential and Management Association, or MCMA. So the current contracts for these 3 unions expires June 30th, 2023. We began meeting with them in late January, early February of this year to start a negotiations process. And through that process, we met and conferred over several months. And so we're proposing new terms for all 3 of these units for a 4-year contract. That would be July 1st of 2023 through June 30th of 2027. These contracts include items such as, increases in wages, market adjustment to help get us closer to the market median, retention incentives, and healthcare and other benefits. Also, with the MCMA, which is the Management and Confidential Association, the unrepresented non-sworn executives, charter officers, and management have what we call like a Me Too clause. And so whatever MCMA negotiates, we also offer to those employees. So this is a list of the major benefits that we are offering in these contracts. And so again, this is applicable to MCMA, MCEA, MPNSA, and our non-sworn unrepresented management, executives, and charter officers. And so for wages, we're proposing to do, this is like, again, a 4-year contract. So for the 4 years, it would be a 4% year 1, and then 3% the successive 3 years. We're also proposing to add a step to the salary schedule that would happen in year 3. A market adjustment to bring everybody up to at least 95% of the market median. And so that would technically be within market. Education incentive, because we want to incentivize our workforce to be an educated workforce. We're proposing a 2.5% for a BA and a 5% for a master's. We're proposing a longevity incentive, and so this is 2.5% at 10 years, and this is really to address the retention issue. This particular area, once somebody has reached their top of their salary schedule, there's really nowhere else for them to go. And so this gives something for that person to look forward to and keep them here with the city. Health insurance increases, and so we're proposing a health insurance increase to the premiums that we pay on behalf of the employees. Contributions have fallen far behind because health insurance goes up every year, and the city has not been able to keep up with those. And so we are proposing to increase those contributions to get our employees to a good level of contribution on their side so that they don't have to pay as much to cover their families. We have retiree health, and so that's an increase to a retiree health savings account that we provide to the employees for their service with the city. And then we're also proposing to add 2 holidays to the holiday schedule. So with the holidays, I would make comment that we usually do holidays citywide, so this would apply citywide. And then finally, a leave bank purchase option. This is actually an employee-driven program that also helps the city, and so they have the ability to purchase 48 hours worth of leave. They pay for that incrementally through the payroll system, and then those monies go towards helping to fund our unfunded accrued liability with CalPERS. So again, this would be for all of these people. I would say that also the health, retiree health, and holidays also apply to unrepresented sworn employees as well. So other incentives and items that are in the contracts are mainly to combat inflation and to incentivize special assignments that employees need to do, special extra duties that they would pick up. So we do have things like certification pay, a Class A, Class B trainer and administration pay, special assignment pays, and then also increases to the uniform allowance, tool allowance, and meal allowance. And that's really to combat the inflation that we've recognized over the last couple of years. So the fiscal impact for this item, the fiscal impact of the agreements outlined in this item include a cost of $2,476,837 in the general fund for the first year, and $5,142,353 in various non-general funds, for a total of $7,619,190, and so that's for the first year of the term of the agreements. There is a budget adjustment item as part of this process to adjust our budget for 2023-24 to account for that. The total cost of the 4-year term for these agreements, $19,400,132 in the general fund, and $41,203,624 in the various non-general funds, for a total of $60,603,756. So the staff recommendations, there are about 11 resolutions attached to this item, so I'm not going to read those all off to you. I'm going to give you a kind of a general staff recommendation. The staff recommends approving agreements with MCEA, MCMA, and MPNSA for terms of July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2027, as described in the tentative agreements for each union, and approving salary and benefit changes to unrepresented confidential management, executive, and charter officers as described in the staff report. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
All right, thank you very much for that report. Does council have any questions of staff? All right, I'll open this up to the public. I'd like to ask members of the public to come forward. I do not have any blue cards. Oh, here we go. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Ashley Weaver, and I'm here on behalf of the MCMA Board of Directors. And I just want to thank you, thank the city, thank Christina and staff and the council for your consideration of tonight's agreement, and for your support and dedication to the management employees. So the MCMA Board, as well as our members, are supportive and encouraged by this agreement. And we thank you for your consideration. So thanks again, and we look forward to the next 4 years.
All right, thank you very much. Anyone else that would like to speak on this item? I do not see anyone in person. This is for item 16, confirming that there's no one online. All right, no one online. I will close public comments and ask council for comments. All right, no comments. So, all right, Councilmember Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, I've been on this council for over 2 years now, and one of the complaints I've had from my constituents is that lack of service. It takes long to get things through the city, and I know that we've been short-staffed. Over the last 2 years, I've seen good staff members leave, go to either the county or MID or some local agencies around due to better compensation than what we have. There is a shortage of great workers throughout the state. As a business owner, I see it in my business. It's hard to find good people that will stay with you and really want to do their best on the job. So it's important that we pay our employees, our good employees, to want to stay and be a part of this community. And hopefully this will allow us to, every year we have unfunded we have money left over because we have positions we have a hard time finding. hopefully this will give us the ability to fulfill those positions and to bring our staff back up to the levels it needs to be so we can give good service to our community, especially in our public safety. Public safety is very, very important, and it's very, very hard to find public safety when you're competing with Stockton and other cities in the area that have over the last several years been more attractive to work for than the City of Modesto due to compensation. So my hat's off to our city manager and Christina for negotiating this. Hopefully this will help us bring back people to the city workforce and make this a better city.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Scudia Brayton.
Thank you, Mayor. It sounds like we've come to a conclusion to what could be a very strenuous, intense process, and I just wanted to thank Christina and her team of negotiators and all of the executive team and the labor unions that came to the table with complete honesty and full disclosure and intent on goodness and representing their members, and everyone just wanting a good end result for ultimately the City of Modesto. Again, these conversations can be very intense and harsh, but I think this experience, it didn't happen overnight. I understand we gave it its due diligence and time to address these very important issues. When it was brought to the council in closed session, again, the council gave it some really thoughtful consideration and questions and conversations regarding these issues. And I'm just so glad that we're at this point now where we are ready to make a vote on it. And as Councilmember Wright said, it ultimately ends up providing us, telling the City of Modesto employees, we value you, you're important to us, and thank you for what you do. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to say we are definitely stronger together. And with everything that we do, along with what you do, we want to make sure that you're compensated for that. So again, we are stronger together. Congratulations.
All right. Just one more comment. As a council, we represent the residents of our community. That's who we represent. And I would just like to say to the residents of our community that in the bit over 2 years that I have been here and had a bird's eye view into having interactions with multiple members, employees, staff of the City of Modesto, I have been overwhelmingly impressed with their dedication to our community, to all of us as residents, their desire to make this city a better place. And I am so grateful for my council colleagues, for staff, our charter officers, and every person that is truly making that happen. Of course, our first responders are the ones that come in that most critical time of need. We're indebted to them. I'm so grateful that Christina Alger, our Director of Human Resources, brings every single new employee by my office. I get to meet every one of them individually, and that's just been a great opportunity to tell them what their role is and how important it is and how people are watching. I get emails that will refer to behaviors, whether there's a smile, whether there's a hello, whether it's a utilities worker, public works, anyone in our community. So we all are working together to make our city better, and I'm so appreciative, and I just want to express that appreciation. So any other comments from council members? All right, I will call for a motion, but first of all, I'm going to have a very long number of resolutions to read, so bear with me. I have a resolution approving an agreement including language changes for a successor memorandum of understanding between the City of Modesto and the Modesto City Employees Association, MCEA, for a term of July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2027, and authorizing the city manager or designee to take the necessary administrative action to implement the agreement. A resolution approving an agreement including language changes for a successor memorandum of understanding between the City of Modesto and the Modesto Confidential and Management Association, MCMA, for a term of July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2027, and authorizing the city manager or designee to take the necessary administrative action to implement the agreement. A resolution approving an agreement including language changes for a successor memorandum of understanding between the City of Modesto and the Modesto Police and Fire Non-Sworn Association, MPNSA, for a term of July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2026, and authorizing the city manager or designee to take the necessary administrative action to implement the agreement. A resolution approving changes to benefit offerings for unrepresented non-sworn management and confidential employees, including charter officers and executives, consistent with those in represented units as set forth in attached Exhibit A, summary of benefit offerings for unrepresented sworn management and non-sworn management and confidential employees, including charter officers and executives, and authorizing the city manager or designee to take the necessary administrative action to implement the provisions of this resolution. A resolution approving salary changes for unrepresented, non-sworn management and confidential employees, including charter officers and executives consistent with those in represented units, effective June 20th, 23, superseding Resolution Number 2022-267, and authorizing the city manager or designee to take the necessary administrative action to implement the provisions of this resolution. A resolution amending the class range table for general classes to amend the salary range based on the labor market study. A resolution amending the class range table for represented management and confidential non-sworn classes to amend the salary range based on the labor market study. Resolution amending the class range table for public safety non-sworn classes to amend the salary range based on the labor market study. A resolution amending the class range table for executive management classes to amend the salary range based on the labor market study. And a resolution amending the class range table for unrepresented management and confidential non-sworn classes to amend the salary range based on the labor market study. And lastly, a resolution amending the fiscal year 2023-24 annual operating budget for the Memorandum of Understanding agreements and authorizing the city manager to take the necessary steps to implement the required budget adjustments. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I'm going to go.
Give it to me.
Moved by Councilmember Escutia Brayton and seconded
That was me.
William.
by
Nick has a
Councilmember, I heard Bavaro, Councilmember Bavaro.
classmate.
All right, would the clerk please call the roll?
Vice Mayor Ricky.
Aye.
Councilmember Bavaro.
Aye.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Wright.
Aye.
Councilmember Scutia Brayton.
Aye.
Councilmember Alvarez. And Mayor Zwallen.
Aye, so it carries unanimously. Are there any matters too late for the agenda? Seeing none, I'm calling this meeting of the City Council be adjourned.